In this episode, I'm going to help you choose your title or name of your podcast. This is something a lot of people get wrong, which is why today I'm going to break down what to do and what not to do and what makes an effective podcast name. And by now, you should already know your podcast niche. If you haven't, watch or listen to my previous episode, which helps you find your niche. And come back to this episode and we'll sort out your title. Now, if you've already got a name for your podcast, there's no reason why you can't change it and rename your show. Plenty of big podcasts have had rebrands and renames, redone everything, their artwork, their titles, their descriptions. So this isn't just for a new podcast. If you're looking to rebrand and relaunch your podcast, follow along as well. Now, there's quite a big difference if we're talking about an audio podcast on a platform such as Apple or Spotify, or a video podcast on YouTube. Now, this is because of the discoverability and the way people find podcasts on those platforms. Now, on YouTube, there's obviously a feed where your episodes appear to your potential audience. Whether you're searching for something in particular or just browsing, the first thing they'll see is your thumbnail or artwork first, and then the episode title. And this is the main decision on YouTube as to whether someone will click on your episode or not, is the episode artwork and episode title. The title of your show isn't actually as important on YouTube because it doesn't always come up in the feed, in the search. It's the episodes that are coming up. So for your YouTube show, all you're really worried about is having something that's kind of memorable and easy for someone to come back to once they've found it, or easy for someone to recommend if they're telling someone about your show, something that's easy to spell and remember. Those are the kind of most important things for a YouTube name. On audio platforms, the show title or name appears much more in the search results, not just the episodes. So your potential audience is much more likely to see the name of your podcast and the show artwork first, which makes it the kind of most important thing, because that's the thing that the potential audience is making a decision on whether to click or not. So this makes your show name very important. So if you're planning to have your show across platforms, get this right once and it'll work everywhere. So when people are looking for new podcasts, they're doing two things: either typing in a keyword or phrase into the search bar, or they're scrolling podcasts in a certain category that they're interested in. Now, people aren't necessarily thinking rationally when they're scrolling. They're thinking emotionally and often unconsciously. So your podcast name needs to grab that person's attention and stop the scroll to make them click on your show. Your name needs to act as a trigger and stop that person in their tracks. I'm going to show you how to do this. You just keep following along. So what are the biggest mistakes people make? Let's break it down. Naming the podcast after yourself. Now, you may see shows like Joe Rogan as an example and think, I'll do what he did. But you're not Joe Rogan. Unless you are. unless you're famous, there's no point naming the show after yourself because nobody knows who you are. It doesn't give anyone a reason to click on you. I mean, not necessarily famous, because you may be well known in your field. So if you're an expert in your field and you've already got a big audience, by all means name the podcast after yourself. But if you're trying to find an audience with a podcast, naming the podcast after yourself kind of does nothing for you other than for someone searching, it's just a random name. They want to know what the podcast means and why they would click on it. They want to know what problem it solves for them. Now, often people kind of get a bit too fancy with names, try and make it too clever. Just keep it simple. Having a play on words may sound like really good kind of marketing or whatever, but you've got a split second of someone's attention to grab them. If it's too complicated, people just won't process it and they'll move on to the next one. Now, we talked about this in picking our niche, solving a problem. Like I said, if you're just naming the show after yourself, you're not necessarily solving a problem. So your podcast title should be the solution. If you watch the episode on choosing your niche, we identified the problem. Make that title be the solution to this problem. And people often ignore SEO in their title. The keywords used in your title will be picked up by the platforms. People often overlook SEO in audio podcast platforms, but it's there. It's very important, and your title is the kind of first port of call in getting those key words correct in line with everything your podcast is going to do. The other thing people do is it can be being too generic. Again, like I referred to in the episode about choosing your niche, we chose it for a reason. Now focus on it. Don't try and please everyone. Focus on that problem, like we said. Don't be too generic. Really hone in your title to the niche and what we've been talking about. So here's what you need to do to make the name stand out and stop those scrollers scrolling. The name needs to be clear, it needs to be specific, and it needs to hit on that pain point. There's a lot of competition in podcasting now. A lot of the common practices that a few years ago worked doesn't work anymore. So these things are more and more important. You need to let your specific audience know why they should click on your show, or they'll just keep scrolling. Now, like I said, focus on that problem you're solving and focus on the exact audience you've identified. Keep it really clear, and don't forget SEO, search engine optimization. These are keywords that people will be typing in to get their problem solved. I had a quick scroll of kind of top trending podcasts on a few of the charts, and I've identified a few that stand out to me for doing what we want. So I'll give you a few of these titles. How do you cope? Now it's really clear to the point. Someone who's struggling mentally wants to find out, how do I cope? How do I cope with what's going on in life? They come across this, that grabs them in. It just straight to the point, nice and simple. How do you cope? It's story time with Will Wheaton. I said to you before, you don't need to put your name in the title. If you are going to put your name in the title, do it like this. It's story time. It tells you what it is. It's stories. It's a podcast where each episode is a story. Will Wheaton's the guy who reads them. So if you really want to use your name, do it like this. Don't call it the Will Wheaton Show or the Will Wheaton Podcast. Identify the problem of what Will Wheaton is talking about or what you're talking about if you really want to put your name in a show. Stuff you should know. Now, this is been around for donkey's years, stuff you should know. But it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's just facts. It's stuff you should know. Like, it's interesting facts, basically. I used to listen to this podcast all the time until I got to about episode 4 million and decided I should probably listen to something else. Next one, This Day in AI. I don't necessarily know what these podcasts are about or have delved any further, but I know This Day in AI is just about AI news. So if you want to stay up to date on what's going on in AI, This Day in AI, that tells me I want to listen to that podcast. Something a bit different that I thought was a good title, Comedian v Economist. Now, it's not necessarily something that's a really, really good idea that I think, oh, amazing, this is what I'm looking for. But it's just the fact that this title tells you exactly what it is. It's a comedian having conversations with an economist. So what more do you need to know? So if that's the type of thing you're into or you're looking for, you're going to click that straight away. And the last one, and this is quite a successful podcast, is Making Money. That's the title of the podcast, Making Money. I'm not sure I need to keep explaining this. It's pretty obvious. You know what that podcast is about. If you want to make money, listen to Making Money. It's pretty simple. So they tell you who it's for, what the problem solves. It's clear, and it uses those key words as well. That's the kind of clarity you need. Now, you may ask, what if the name I want is taken? Don't panic. Look at what those other podcasts are missing. Find the gaps. This is an opportunity to stand out. If your podcast name's taken, you're probably on the right tracks. Search other podcasts in your niche Look for that gap. If you can find something that isn't already there and ticks all the boxes, your audience won't be able to help themselves but click on it. Now, if you found this useful, please subscribe. Let me know in the comments what title you chose. In the next episode, I'll be telling you all about your podcast artwork. Remember, clarity, be specific, and solve a problem. Get those right and you're golden. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode.